Folks, buckle up because Donald Trump just dropped a truth bomb on the Patrick Bet David podcast that's got the world in a frenzy. No teleprompters, no filters, just raw, uncut Trump laying it all on the line. From his business acumen to his views on foreign policy, the former president is pulling back the curtain like never before. And let me tell you, it is a doozy. The mainstream media is in meltdown mode, scrambling to spin this explosive interview. So stay tuned as we dive into the bombshells that have everyone talking. We've got all the highlights. Now, check this out. Are you listening? While Trump is making waves on podcasts, you need to be thinking about your safety on the road. Our cutting-edge dash cam is your ultimate companion, offering 4K Ultra HD footage, night vision, and 24/7 motion detection. It's like having your personal road guardian capturing every detail, just like Trump captures attention. Head to carvisionx.com right now for your limited time offer and free express shipping and exclusive bonuses during their special. Don't leave your safety to chance. Equip your vehicle with the best protection available today. Now, check this out. This was one of Trump's best interviews so far. Cornelius Phantom says, I got so much out of how his business mind works, her stories I never heard before. Patrick Bet David did an amazing job. Now, if you are not familiar with the Patrick Bet David podcast, I encourage you, check it out, subscribe to the channel. Some of the greatest conversations I've heard with some of the greatest minds, and going into some really deep topics. I mean, the whole thing is great. So I've got some clips here, and I didn't know Trump was going on the podcast, and I'm glad he did. And we're learning also, yes, Trump is supposed to be going on the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm not sure when. He did confirm that the other day. But going on a podcast like this speaks to such a broad audience. Because Patrick Bet David, I mean, I believe he's conservative. I believe he's, basically from all the podcasts I've heard, we got to put him in the conservative corner. There's no question about that. But I believe his podcasts do speak to a broader audience, not just a conservative, narrow audience, because the topics. So having Trump go on this it's gonna win more votes. You hear common sense language from Trump. Kevin Nijitmama says, what a great interview it was. Have always wanted Trump to be on the PBD podcast. It was worth it. So we got some highlights I'm going to play for you. This is Donald Trump. I mean, I love the fact they actually do this interview. They do these podcasts. They're in a bank vault. So what you see behind them, those are all the safe deposit box in the bank vault. It's pretty cool. So let's watch this segment here talking about the Middle East and Russia.
You have a problem. What's happening? The whole world is blowing up now. The Middle East, Russia, Ukraine. I mean, now all of a sudden, it's getting really bad over there. I'll tell you, the Russia, Ukraine, getting really bad. You could have World War III, and we have two people, her and him, and she's not as smart as Biden. Biden, believe it or not, and this is a very small group of people fit into this category, he's smarter than she is, okay? You have a problem. And even the 3 or 4 months left, that's a lot of months. That's a lot of time left. You could have World War III before I would take office, even if I would.
So let me ask you this.
This country the world is in grave danger. But you know what Viktor Orban said? He said, if Trump comes back in, everything's solved. He said when he ran it, we had no wars, we had no problems. Now, he used the term they were afraid of Trump. I don't want to use that term because it's like, but they were. They were afraid of me. They didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And that included Russia. Don't forget, they always said, oh, I'm so close to Putin. I had a good relationship with Putin. I had a good relationship with President Xi. But what did I do to Putin? I ended the pipeline going to Germany and all over Europe. The biggest job they've ever had is the pipeline going all over Europe. I terminated it. Think of it. Do you think that's a good relationship? No. Putin said, I'd hate to see you if you were angry at us. You understand? But what did I do? First, earlier, and then you go, well, Trump was in the pocket of Russia. Trump was in the pocket. I ended the biggest job they've ever done a job that made more money. Biden comes in, and what does he do? He approves it. He lets it go forward. It was dead. It was never going to happen. And what else did he do? He took the Keystone pipeline, which was our pipeline, which should have been approved, and he terminated it just before construction was started.
Yeah. Here's more. President Trump on the power of the Fed. Let's watch this.
Barack, so you know how you talked about Jerome Powell, what an easy job. You come once a month and he said, we're going to increase the rates.
Greatest job there is.
I think this is the one thing they don't talk about. So Barack Obama got elected November 4th. Okay, quantitative easing started November 26th.
Right.
And it stayed for 8 years until you got elected.
Right.
So if you look at that low, pretty much 0% interest rate,
right,
and then you get elected, right, if you go to January 2016, Rob, for the audience to see that, and then from there, one by one, rates are going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, and then Biden comes in, goes back down to zero to try to save the economy, and then, you know, the rest is obviously history.
Right.
But do you think the average person knows, like, the impact of going to 0%? How much does that positively help the impact when Fed lowers the rates to 0.5 point?
Yeah, it has a huge impact. The power of the Fed is, I think, pretty strong. Some people disagree with it. They think it's overridden by the interest rate climate. But I think the power of the Fed is very strong. It's an interesting graph, actually.
Yeah, this just shows that the rates didn't help you. You know, when he says it was...
Well, they didn't use them to help me.
Right.
And Powell, I gave him a hard time because he was raising them. And I was never a big fan of his. He was late and he was early. He was too early and too late, you know. But I had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Despite that, you know, this is another thing I can say. Despite the fact that they weren't very high, but they were, you know, reasonably high. And despite the rates not being at zero, I had a pretty good. We had a great run.
So you certainly did, and we're going to have more of that. Here's President Trump reacting to his sparring with Chuck Schumer.
That's right. My favorite moment of you being a president is this moment here. This is what I love the most. It was a first time where a president is running a vlog-style administration where, Rob, if you can play this clip, this is you're talking about building the wall, shutting down the government, and you put the camera on their face. I think you did this once also. Yeah. With Kissinger, which I don't know if that was a power play intentional or not. I thought it was. Play this clip, Rob.
None of us have said.
You want to know something?
You've said
it. Okay, you want to put that on my...
You've said it.
I'll take it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'll say? Yes. If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
Fair enough.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one.
You know what did this to me?
By the way, how right was I? And now... And I had the strongest border we ever had, and I used soldiers from Mexico and every other thing. You got it for nothing, zero cost. I had the strongest border. But look at that guy. Look, they're all threats to our nation. He and his group, after I was gone, opened up the border, and our country has been poisoned, okay? Poisoned. We have killers, we have murderers, we have the drug lords, we have everything. We have terrorists at numbers. Do you know in 2019, a report was done that not one terrorist was allowed in. Now, I think it's probably wrong because it's, you know, I want to take credit for it. It was my year.
Have you seen the terrorist stat?
Thousands.
Rob, pull up the clip with not this one, the other one, Rob, because you like good charts. I think you're going to love this chart. So this is the chart. I don't know if you've seen this or not. So this is the terrorist attacks, deaths, and injuries based on different presidents being there. If you go to 2008 to 2016, that's the Barack Obama era. Look what he did. He produced more terrorist attacks during his era. Wow. 16, you get elected. Look what happens. Yep. Disappearance.
I had nothing.
Right? So,
I had none.
I understand. So, but the reason why I show this clip is if you're...
I like these charts, I must say. Yeah. I like my chart the best. You know,
yeah, that's the chart.
Know, I have a chart that I like better than any chart I've ever seen, better than any person I've ever seen.
I'm glad you were looking at the chart. I think a lot of people are happy you were looking at the chart.
No, I love these charts that you have.
No, I'm talking about the chart.
Man, we almost lost him that day, didn't we, folks? Man. That was a scary day. Here is let's see. Oh, this is quick.
If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
So this becomes a pattern of
Communism.
Got a business.
Communism, just straight up. Here's Brian Krasenstein. Wow, Trump just doubled down on calling Americans worse than our foreign enemies. Trump implied on the PBD podcast moments ago the radical left and Adam Schiff are worse than countries our foreign enemies. Well, he's right. Donald Trump is right. We have enemies on our soil. Adam Schiff is one of the worst in Congress. And he wants to be a senator now. These people are destroying our country from within. So when Donald Trump says that, there's a reason. It's because he recognizes that reality. But the left, they're so blinded by the deception and lies that they keep feasting on that they can't see the damage these people are doing. But Donald Trump does.
Yes, I really do. But there is a sort of a deep state. And a lot of that's people that have been there. And then there's some bad guys, there's some bad people. Then there's a radical left, which I think are more dangerous in many ways than the other countries. I really do. You know, guys like Shifty Adam Schiff and other people. They're bad people. They're sort of sick people. Not stupid people either, by the way. Smart people.
Sure.
But they're vicious. But they're very bad for our country.
Is Adam Schiff powerful?
Can you imagine? Well, he made up the Russia hoax. He and Hillary.
No, what I'm saying is, who is their boss? Who calls them and say, you better arrest?
I think it's an amorphous group. It's a group. It's not one person. It's an amorphous group of lunatics. And when they come together, they're pretty bad. But but there is sort of a deep state.
He understands it. President Trump understands where the real threat is. The threat is the people inside our government, the entrenched bureaucracy, and, of course, the media, who continues to parrot the lies. Here's Trump talking about Netanyahu.
Do
you think Bibi will listen to you?
Yeah. Oh, he'll listen to me 100%.
100%.
100%. Don't forget, I got them more than, and not because this isn't the reason, but I got them Golan Heights. They've been trying to get it for as long as they were around. I got them Golan Heights. Planes would fly in every year to try and figure it out. I got them Golan Heights. But more importantly than that, I ended the Iran nuclear deal, which was Bibi fought like hell to have it. Remember that? Fought like hell. Came in to see Obama, fought. And I also got them very important. I helped them with their military, everything else, but I got them Jerusalem, capital. I got them Jerusalem. Not only did I get it for them, I built the embassy. I didn't just say that. I got it built. And I built it for peanuts, too. I didn't spend $2 billion. I built it for...
I love what you said the other day when you were doing the new Air Force One from $5.3 billion to $3.7 billion. Hey, who would have paid? They would have paid for that. It's great to have a negotiator.
Does that mean you made $1.7 billion,
which is insane. You're sitting there and it's like, yeah, Obama, they just cut the check. And I'm like, what are you talking about? An operator would never do that. Do you think Bibi will listen to you?
Of course, Bibi Netanyahu is going to listen to President Trump. He's going to end all these crazy wars that are happening around the country. Now, this is from a little while ago. And this is another clip from Patrick Bet-David's podcast. And he's talking about just how screwed up they've made this country.
Oh, give you that. Can you play the clip of him walking into the court? 25-second clip. Can you just show this? Just look at his mannerisms. Look at his eyes.
President Trump, will you come speak to us? President Trump?
Oh, my God.
They just play this clip on loop.
Let me just tell you. If he is who...
No, there's our friend Jason Miller over there.
Get from, what's it, Getter? What was it called?
Yeah, Getter.
If you...
He's right there with Trump,
if you think
Miller
about how he's wired, okay, which is coming after you, do you know what this guy is thinking right now? Think about what he's thinking right now. Think about what he's thinking right now. They publicly humiliate. Let me tell you, like, for me. Okay, let me tell you for me. You may beat this guy. He's got 5 kids. He's got 5 kids. He's got grandkids. This bloodline of Trump is not going away. They just effed up for 80 years is what they just messed up with. Not 10 years, not 20 years, 80 years. For 80 years, you're going to have to hear this last name. 80 years. And there's only one strategy you can use to prevent that name from coming up left and right. And you know what that strategy is. Some try to do that with Kennedy, okay, with that strategy. But this one's not going to go away for a minute because Trump is more like Joseph Kennedy than he's like John F. Kennedy. I don't know if you know the difference, Tom. You know, obviously Joseph Kennedy was the guy that you feared, vengeance, I'm coming after you, I'm going to come, versus John F. Kennedy was the guy that never wanted to be a president. He was the younger brother with the back problems, and he had health issues, and his older brother, who was a pilot, who was supposed to be the one that was supposed to be the president, and he was the guy that the day his older son died, Joseph Kennedy went into depression for a few years, and then all of a sudden, the younger son is like, I'm going to avenge, I'm going to come, and then boom, John F. Kennedy, and then RFK, and then boom. The difference here is the father, Joseph Kennedy, equals Trump.
Exactly.
And Trump is the president. Give you that.
Wow. Think about what he's saying there. That Donald Trump is setting up a dynasty with his sons, and what they've done to him is going to have a ripple effect over decades. Imagine if Donald Trump Jr. runs for the White House, or Eric, or Barron even. You know, you could have Trump after Trump after Trump in that Oval Office. This bloodline of Trump is not going away. They effed up for 80 years. And for 80 years, you'll have to hear his last name. Here is Trump talking about Obama.
And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
So how do you feel about this when you see him saying this last week?
I think he's angry. He pretends not to be, but I think he's an angry guy. He's a nasty guy. He's got a little bit of an edge, and he's angry about a lot of things. You look at what happened with Biden, and you look at what he did with Biden. He really hurt Biden because I'm not sure he wouldn't have imploded anyway. We had the debate, and he was down quite a bit, and they walked out, and they just took it away from him. I mean, if you think about it, they stole the election from a sitting president. That's, I always say coup, but the word coup, I don't think it's accurate enough. They just walked in and took it away from him. That is a legendary thing. He didn't want to give up. He's angry now. They're all angry, the Democrats, if you think. She's angry. They're both angry. But, no, I watched that last week, and I think he spoke down to black men. I thought it was terrible the way he spoke to them. But
you think it's effective? You think he still carries the same stick as he did, maybe 8 years ago or 12 years ago?
No, I don't think it is. No, I don't think he does. I think people have gotten smart. And no, I don't believe he does at all. I hadn't seen him. He's changed a lot. Visually, he's changed. I like to say visually as opposed to from the look standpoint, because, of course, looks don't matter anymore in politics, You say looks don't matter. It doesn't make any difference because we want to be politically correct, but they do matter. But he's changed. His look has changed actually quite a bit. I haven't seen him in a long time.
And by the way, Rob, I think that's even 4 years ago. I think it's even more than it is
Well,
today.
no, but the statement he just made was a couple of days ago. And
it was a couple of days ago. And it's similar to the statement he made back in 2012 when he told business owners, you didn't build that. Remember when he said that? I don't know if you remember that whole comment. I think this is the speech, Rob, if you want to play this.
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Yeah, remember that? It was a great podcast. I want to bring you some of the highlights here. And I think this is probably one of the best parts about when he's talking about the mainstream media and he's talking about fake news. Now, I do want to say I have a little bit of a disagreement here with Trump claiming he started the term fake news, because the way I remember it, it was Hillary and Barack who came out right after 2016, and they were blaming fake news for Trump's win. They were pissed off that channels like mine beat every single mainstream media channel on YouTube. They're pissed off that we had 70 million views in the last month of the 2016 election. The media came out in full attack mode against me and this channel after 2016. So much so that they had to change the algorithm because we were so effective in our reporting of that election, that we helped elect Donald Trump. So Hillary and Barack, they come out, it was fake news and fake Russia and da-da-da-da-da, trying to find every single thing to talk about. And that's why YouTube now surfaces authoritative so-called news. But the authoritative news that they surface is all statist corporate propaganda, misinformation and outright disinformation, and toxic speech that inflames people. It inflames assassins. So when Trump talks about the fake news, he takes advantage, he takes credit for this moment. But again, I believe that it was, I think Trump co-opted and used it to his advantage. So let's watch.
News, or was it just, I think the only one that Letitia James, Jack Smith, and maybe even Fannie, if they wanted to, claim that you did commit a crime, is you kind of did kill mainstream media, if you think about it.
I did.
And that could be a crime for those guys.
I'm very proud of it.
And I want to show you this clip because this is the first time ever the phrase fake news was ever used.
No.
And from this moment on is when the decline started. Rob, if you can go in and play this clip.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question? Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization.
Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can you state, Mr. President-elect,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically,
she's asking a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate.
So, if you can
But
pause
isn't
it there.
that disgusting? Think of it. And that would never happen to a Democrat. But isn't that disgusting? He's a lowlife, the guy, and as you know. But and he has his own show, gets no ratings at all. Nobody on CNN gets ratings. But isn't that a disgusting? I'm just watching that, and isn't it a shame that people can behave that way against the president? And I think I think I'm responsible for those numbers up there where they went down. And frankly, I'm proud of it because I also am responsible for the term fake news. And that's a great term, but it's not strong enough. I think it's corrupt news is a better term, but it doesn't play as well. But they're corrupt people and disgusting people. But he is... He wasn't as bad as some. I mean, in a certain way, he was louder, but he wasn't as smart as some. I mean, some are much smarter. He's not as smart.
Did you think you were going to say fake news, or was it just kind of came out and then it stuck? You're like, this is going to stick. Was it intentional?
I don't know if that's the first time I've used it, but I do get credit for having been an originator of the term. I mean, a lot of times I have a very fertile mind. I come up with very good names for people.
You're very creative.
Pocahontas,
yes.
Lots of good names. But, I don't know if that's the first time, but I've thought of that term often.
I think the only one that
I think I'm going to have to go make a comment on PBD's podcast about this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the timeline again because I clearly remember Barack Obama and Hillary both using that term in reference to the reporting that sunk their campaign because it was the online reporting that went viral from this channel that contributed to Donald Trump's win. So Trump's appearance on the PBD podcast wasn't just an interview. It was a glimpse into the mind of a leader who's not afraid to speak the truth. Love him or hate him, you can't deny the impact he continues to have on our country. But here's what I want to know. If you're on the fence, or if you saw the whole podcast, did it change your perception? Did it reveal something new about his vision for America? The comment section's open. Let's hear your take on Trump's most candid interview yet.